Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. I'd like to welcome you to This Morning on ITV. Yeah, and we're about going into the first discussion segment, and it's all about the anti-graft war. Is it a new chapter? Is it a new dawn? Is it a new page when we talk about the fight against corruption? Don't forget the mantra, Mr. Integrity, and right now, Magu. Yes, the acting EFCC boss is undergoing a serious travail. People are like saying that, look, you shouldn't rope it on Magu alone, while others are saying, come on, give it to him. He is the master, he is the leader of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. After all, things are going awry. You have to hold the one at the helms of affairs. Some are saying this is to show Nigerians, Africans, even the world at large, that our beloved President Muhammadu Buhari doesn't condone corruption. If he can go for the head of an anti-graft agency, then tell me, who do you think that is involved in corruption will be spared in Nigeria? Well, others are of the view that, look, they are just all politically motivated. What's your take in this school of thought? Well, with me here in the studio to talk about this, I have a political analyst. I like to call him an elder statesman also. A one-time squadron leader, though he's retired, is still very much active. Join me to welcome squadron leader retired Ehi Igile. Welcome to TMI Sunday's edition.
Bad waiting. I will first greet my people in my language. Wakoyo. Wayakoyo.
I'm not bad, I'm good. Welcome. It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yes, you know I've been looking for you to box.
No, seriously.
But I didn't find you.
Anyway, my boxing gloves are always on, and I like to shield myself, you know.
Okay, we won't fight today.
And with me here also in the studio, he is a legal practitioner, a clergyman, yes, a political analyst, a right activist. Join me to welcome Barrister Patrick Awo Osaige. Yeah, PhD is, it's on course, right? Yes, yeah, PhD, yeah. Welcome to TMI on this edition.
It's my pleasure.
Appreciate your comment.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And hello, viewers at home.
All right, so here we are. Many persons didn't see this coming, while others have been waiting patiently for it to happen. And of course it happened. At first the print media were like confused about what stand to take. Arrested or invited, all of a sudden it was an arrest, and the president approved a suspension, saying, look, Magu, as the head of EFCC, you should be above board. Barrister, take it up from there. As a legal practitioner, from that angle, what do you feel about all this?
Thank you, Winston. And it's rather unfortunate and pathetic the way things have turned out to be now. You see, we must understand one reality. I'm not here to hold brief for Magu or to castigate him, as it were. We must understand that it's not a Magu issue. It's a systemic problem. Take it by casting a mind back to during the era of the President Obasanjo. We know those that when the EFCC was, commissioned, as it were, and we have a lot of persons who were not in the good book of the president, and they were all tried in courts, which even led to the ordeals of Kalu and several of them. So we are not looking at strong men. We're looking at institutions should be independent on their own. Now, after that, we also saw the Bola Tinubu and Jonathan Goodluck and the bureau and trials and all whatnot, that eventually he cleared himself off, all to the fact that he was not dancing to the tune of the man at the helms of affair. Now, the Magu's case, I'm surprised if they're saying, well, Magu is corrupt or he's not corrupt. Before he was appointed, the Department of State have released, certain very, disturbing issues about him, and presented it that this man should not be. But along the line, he still had his way, and he was appointed all the same. I want to believe that if you have some questions, not necessarily you've done something wrong, like you know, it's said in law now that the person that is called to the Nigerian bar should be fit and proper, not just being academically sound. That is part of it though, but you must be a fit and proper person. And as a youth corps too, we're told to serve with humility. You know, serve with humility. You must be this calm, easygoing person. So for you to not jump up now and say, after 5 years down the line, to say, well, when the man, again, you cannot take it out from him that he had convicted a lot of persons, and they are there in the record, and the courts have seen him, and have seen his several activities. We cannot wish that away. That even if you want to call him names now, but the man has done so well in his area of appointment. Now, come back to why is he now picked at this time? That's a big question. Why Magu now? Why not then? Even when the 8th Senate refused to confirm him as chairman, why was he not dropped? Why now? If the president didn't have confidence in him, I believe obviously he would have dropped him. If all those allegations to the president at the time were worthwhile, I believe, then why suddenly this twist? Now, if you look at the way it happened, again, when somebody had run foul of the law, whether you are president or former president, there are procedures to follow. Now, what is the presidential panel? Who, I know the Justice Salami is heading the panel. Why is that known to our law? Is it enshrined in the Constitution? Is it a way to investigating crime? We have we have the police, we have the SS, even the EFCC. You know, you have all of them. So what are we doing? Are we setting a new precedent? What is the president seeking to achieve with this? And why is Magu, you know, the issue of, you talked about him being arrested and they counter it at the media at the time. Now, Magu is not above being arrested. If he was invited and he didn't show up, he can be arrested. If governors and, you know, people who have served in, I don't see any, I think the media have made Magu a popular person, too popular for that. But for me, I want to believe there is more to this, because investigation is still ongoing, and we cannot, as a lawyer, it is absolutely out of place for you to now begin to take side. A man is presumed innocent until it is proven otherwise.
Okay.
So he cannot be said to be a criminal. He is being investigated. The panel have not come up with all reports. We've got some winds of information. He owns several houses like this, and Nigerians are shouting, you wait. And then the man will also explain what happened. Okay. I think that is what the situation is.
All right, Barrister, I'll come back to you shortly. Squadron leader,
yes,
retired. If he has spoken at length, saying until he's proven guilty,
he has spoken at length.
He is not a criminal, though there are whips emanating here and there in form of information saying that he owns houses and about to relating now, so to speak, this allegation of the returned looted funds and the rest of them. But with the president taking this stand, saying Magu remains suspended until investigation is concluded, do you think this is like what Nigerians have been looking out for? Start from the top, then others will fall into shape.
I'm sure this is what Nigerians have been looking for. That's what I have been looking for. The issue at stake is this, is that allegation. I won't use you as an example. I can allege that somebody stole my bag. That's an allegation. It has to be proven that he actually stole it before you can call him a thief, or before you can sentence him, or before you can retrieve the bag from him, or other incriminating items from him. So what is happening? Magu is being alleged to have done several things, and investigation is going on. So until the result comes out to say that, yes, we found 2 houses in Dubai belonging to him in his name, illegally acquired. We found so money in his possession, and the money is taken by him for his use, not for the government. That's when we'll be able to say, or one will be able to say, that this man is guilty. Until then, it's an allegation. he has not been removed. He is suspended so as not to interfere with the investigation. So they put Mohammed Umar, the operation officer, to be in charge temporarily. So Ibrahim Magu is not out of the scene yet until he's proven guilty. Then for my legal friend, the president has a lot of power.
Absolutely, sir.
There's what they call executive power.
Yes.
So he can say that Wilson is beautifully adorned this morning. I would have said he can say you should investigate Wilson to find out, that power is vested on the president to do a lot of things for the benefit of the country. So he has used that power to say he should be investigated first. If it is found that he had done something wrong, then he'll be prosecuted, as you said. Then the police issue, then the court issue coming. Even the police still can't just throw him away. The court, the lawyers, the judges have to prove that this man is truly guilty of what he has been accused of, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That's what allegation is about. So the whole thing now borders on allegation that people said he has money here, or he gave money to a contractor, or he purchased a house here or there. But you have to prove it. That's where the smart thieves, you cannot catch them, because they hide the information so bad that you cannot get the truth about it. Then they are set free. And people start wondering, regarding the 8th Senate.
Yeah.
They refused to confirm Magu. But if you remember, that was the time the president was really sick. In fact, people like Fayose said they saw him in the morgue, in the mortuary already.
There was rumors, speculations then.
Yes. So the man was really not around to work. It's now that he's fully well, and for over a year now he's been okay. But if you accuse me of stealing, you must be able to prove that I stole. You can't. Okay. Or if I should say that someone said something about me in my back, in my absence, the person who told me that you said something about me, you should be able to prove where you said it, what time, who were the people there. The witnesses must come out to say, we saw this and we saw that.
Okay.
So I will submit that the whole thing currently is allegation, and the man has been asked to step aside.
Okay.
So he will not tamper with documents or the investigation.
Okay, fine. All right. Now, both of you agree that these are just allegations, but there is an aspect that so many persons are not too comfortable with, his arrest. If someone is accused of a crime, now that aspect of arrest in the case of Magu, though he has already appealed for bail or so of that nature, all right, okay, that he should be granted bail. Okay. That aspect of his arrest, what do you think about it?
Thank you very much.
Is it not too harsh? Is it called for?
Wait, you must understand, investigating crime is not something you do overnight. Trying to pin down the truth, even the judges, when they are trying to get through, it's not an easy ride home. So you have to think, you have to strategize, you have to get questions from him. Now, him being arrested, yes, they said, one of the allegations that is insubordinating, he doesn't have respect for superior authority. That's what Melody has said.
Yeah.
So these are issues also. Now, again, he could have been, like they said, they invited him, he flaunted the invitation and all of that. That's in the past now, that's not the issue now. Why he's kept is what you are saying. I know lawyers are saying they should grant him bail, but they say we are still with him. He's not kept inside the prison. He's kept where they could see him. You can't go. Because the moment you leave here, you could go and tamper, use your influence to destroy evidence. So the need for him to be around is there. So that is basically what it is. Yes, again, you cannot detain someone, without a valid, order from courts to do that. And that's why I was raising the issue of, why this panel? If it's going to be the panel, it must not carry or wear the attire of a court of jurisdiction that have a competence in that aspect. It should be more of, just like the interaction between the minister giving report, not like the way it's going now. It should just be at that level of that panel, and he should be allowed to go. Or keep him in his house. No, hold on. You have to try to establish a point. When I mean allow him to go, not kept where he should be given a place to stay, so that Nigerians will know that he's not, because when families cannot reach him, or maybe they can, it could be limited persons, in as much we know the COVID is also here, with limited persons to see him. But he should not be created that attitude of, or better still, get a court order for that since he's the president, he can also get that order. Because the moment you keep him beyond certain time, the Constitution is violated and his fundamental right is breached. And he has also said the Justice Alami's panel is not a court. So this is an investigation, or maybe a panel constituted by the president, which is quite accepted. But the mood at which they are going, if you are not keeping me here, yes, again, we must not be oblivious of the fact that if really the allegations are true, if you let him go, he could go around and destroy evidence. So these are valid reasons why he cannot be allowed to go.
Now, that means you are now, I want to put now supporting his arrest. Is that what you're saying right now?
Of course, because the information, do you know what
he is saying? That,
hold on. You react to his point. Just
what I'm saying, they said you have 380 houses, property acquired, money, investment here and there. These are not things you do. Do you know what it means to talk about 380? You need to make contacts. 3 days, what is 3 days? We're talking of properties owned outside of this country. You have to get there, you have to talk to people, you have to get information, you have to study through. Come on, it's not something you just do immediately.
All right.
So him being arrested, now listen, let's get something clear. The angle I'm saying, what I'm trying to establish is this. Yes, I know the lawyers will come up. Oh, it's fundamental right. Yes, we apply for his bail. Good. Now, we are saying on the part of the presidency, look, there is something we need to get here. We are not trying to violate his fundamental rights. Like I just said, an order from court could be secured based on the fact that the president is, quizzing him on issues that may likely come to court. But we don't want to go to court and waste the time of the court. We need to do our inner house work, and do that first. So if the lawyers are coming, they can also go back to court. Because even the fundamental right enforcement action is from the court.
Okay.
You can go to court and tell court, this is what we are doing.
All right. Now, squadron leader, now from what he said, he talked about his fundamental human right. You don't think that Magu's fundamental human right now, the right of freedom, so to speak, association, so to speak, is being tampered with?
What happens in this country is that many basic things are not known by our people. People are asked to come to the police station, or you call it arrest, not because you've been proven guilty. Most times there are allegations that either you were present at a scene of an accident, or you took part, or whatever. So you are called to answer certain questions. When you are there, while asking questions, while investigating, some other things could come up, which will lead to extra investigation. This is why, although the law says you cannot be kept more than, is it 24 hours?
48 hours.
48 hours. You could be kept for more than 14 days.
But is that a violation of the law?
Yes,
No,
it's not.
Because there's a but in the law. Because the police are still investigating. If they feel that when you are released, either you could jump bail or you could interfere with the investigation. Because they go out, this is not a one-man show. When you go to him, did you have 38 houses? Or did you steal this? He said, no. The police, the investigators, they have to go out to other people. They have to go to Dubai.
Obviously.
To find out what happened. So it's not a 1 hour thing. So it takes time. Then they go there and come back to ask him, you said you didn't do this, but we saw so. Who owns it? But if he's released on bail, they won't get him. Many people are released on bail. Today, the lawyer can prove to you. Some 4 years, you don't find them again.
Or they escape.
Yeah, they escape, and you don't know where they are. There were even cases of some top Nigerians who jump bail. Then they try to dress like women or whatever to escape from abroad, and So the issue of how long depends on how long the investigation takes. And you said it already. This is a high-profile case, and it seems a lot of things are coming up. So they need to get to the root of it. If he's innocent, he'll be freed and he continues
his job.
With the job. But if he's not innocent, then he will pay for what he has done.
Okay.
So people are kept in custody to finalize the investigation. Even some people, they find out that they could be dangerous to themselves. They want to harm themselves. There was a case here in Benin, I don't want to mention the name, of a rascal that was put in a cell and wanted to kill himself, wanted to commit suicide. So you won't let such a person go. So there are many issues regarding duration of keeping somebody for investigation.
Okay, Travails of Magu, a new chapter in the anti-graft war is with a huge question mark, because right now it is like Mr. President, according to a report, doesn't really want to hear the word corruption and is bringing out everything possible or arsenal in his reserve to speak to really fight corruption, to bring it down to the barest minimum. And that is what led or was led to the travails of Ibrahim Magu, the acting chairman of the EFCC. Now, before someone is placed under arrest, barrister, do you think that proper investigation should have been done, even concluded, rather than putting that person under arrest beyond 48 hours? They have violated his human right, fundamental human right of freedom.
Thank you very much. You see, this is a high-profile case, like you should know.
Yes.
And it's not just like somebody stole chicken, and you could just point at the chicken there, and you know that's all there is. Now, this involves other nationals, other countries. Now, during the said investigation, how will you need to get some questions from him. You need to respond to some that will lead you to finding out some other things. So I don't agree with that school of thought that say 48 hours is enough. That's not, in short, I want to believe that in the drafting of the said constitution, that was not part of what, because they say your freedom could be taken from you. You know, okay, somebody who is convicted, now why will you not cry for fundamental rights? Why not go and file process to court again? Yes, I know you say, well, he's convicted already. We need to know what we are taking to court. That's what is up now. We need to know where he had breached the laws, where he has run foul of it, where he has enriched himself. There are allegations that you illegally you've looted, you related. You know, these are weighty allegations. Just we are here now. If we are not careful, in few hours we are still here. You know, we're just deliberating on what people are going to travel around the world to find that information. It's not an easy task. So I disagree with that school of thought that say, well, he's fundamental. No. the presidency have not done him evil. Nigerians have not done him evil. In short, they are even protecting him. Because if really he's linked up to some personality, they could kill him. They could send assassins to kill him so that he will not own up.
So are you not saying that his detention is for his protection? Is that what you're saying right now?
Yes, yes. He needs to be protected. They need to get to the root of it. Once the terrorists are apprehended and caught, you don't kill them. I can tell you now, what was that young man's name that wanted to blow up the plane?
Abdul Muttalab.
You know, do you know the American government is still there?
Yeah.
It's still there. The American government kept him, and over time, they have been able to, you know, release certain information. What led me to doing this? So you need to find out carefully. So what has happened, I don't think he see it as a breach on his part. He has worked for the government, and the presidency have given him a lot of honor. I would consider that, because I would suggest to say, in as much as the president don't like corruption, he has also seen this man. Are you sure this man is not victimized? Before me, I just throw him out there. Let's see internally. You, Justice Salami, I know you're a man of honor. Come and sit down. And he called some very high-profile personalities and put them together. Please check this thing out for me. And why will you not blame him? He has not done him evil. He has done him well.
All right, now let's take a look at the president right now in the fight against corruption. When he came into power, when he was democratically elected, he talked about his agenda, one of which is the topmost, is the fight against corruption. Now, when Magu was brought before the Red Chamber, he was rejected. But Mr. President said Magu is the right man for the job. But right now, he is the one that endorsed Magu's arrest. Do you think that there is a new wind blowing right now in Nigeria in the fight against corruption with Magu's arrest?
There should be. There should be. I asked somebody last week. I said, "Who is your friend?" He said, "That bad guy is not my friend." He used to be. So, used to be. What has happened? Which means he has found something else. He thought this man was his best friend, but he has found out after some years that he had some other things not favorable to him. So he said that B, you know, I don't want to mention the word.
Yeah.
He's not my friend. So we all make that mistake in life, that you think this is the situation, but after a while you come to find out it might not be. So then there are certain things you let go. You know, certain things happen. You take them as trivialities, and you say, "Oh, okay, let's give him a chance." You know, I think the allegations ran wide, so the president had to. You know, it's not easy to be at the top, and in fact, I was there before as the chief engineer to the president. They have to keep watching my wife, my children, my friends, my family members. You know, all the people surrounding me have to be watched. You know, so Magu being in such a position, he knew he's an educated police officer. He knew what he was into, and he shouldn't have. So I think. The president might be feeling embarrassed that the person I thought was such a good man is not as good as I thought. Like yesterday was World Anti-Corruption Day, the 11th, and President Buhari sent a message to the AU president, that's the South African president, regarding corruption. That corruption is the bane of our society. That's why we are not, Africa is not progressing. So I think he means well for Nigeria and Africa as a whole. When he was in Washington, D.C. with President Trump, because I want to bring this part in. You nearly hinted on it, but you left it, but I had it in my mind. Trump asked him why the corrupt people were not being jailed or prosecuted. So Buhari replied Trump that if it had been the time he was head of state. You know, Kirikiri is the maximum prison in Nigeria. He said all of them will be there. Within 3 months, I'll get all the money out of them. But he now said that, but now we're in a democratic society.
Follow due process.
You have to follow, okay, thank you for cutting.
All right.
You have to follow due process.
Okay.
You shouldn't charge him, just as is happening now, you shouldn't keep him more than 48 hours. You must give him food. You mustn't keep him in police custody. He must be in prison custody or EFCC. You know, all sorts of, you know. So it drags on and on and on.
Okay. You're about to give the last line on this segment. We're not talking about the travails of Magu. A new chapter in the anti-graft war is a huge question. I'm going to ask you the same question right now. Do you think that when the dust settle in this particular travail of Magu, do you think it's going to be an all-out war against corruption, since it's starting from the top?
If Magu is going to continue fighting the way he has,
whether he continues or discontinues, sacked, or whether he leaves his position, the fight against corruption is going to be massive right now.
It's been massive in that regard. Now let's look at it. See, I remember what Adam Soshomole told Nigerians. I think there was a program that said Fix Nigeria some years ago, before he became governor. He now talked about the searchlight viewing those that are corrupt. He said the man holding it will not point it to himself. He said the moment that light leaves his hand, the other man that is holding it will point it to him.
To him too.
So say, don't be bothered about where they are starting from. You know, there's this many talk about, okay, why you are attacking my party members.
Yeah, perceived enemies, enemies, party members, yeah.
Now, if those enemies, there are enemies that have not been prosecuted. There are people that have criticized President Muhammadu Buhari for all they care, and nothing has been said about them. So if you don't have skeletons in your cupboard, you will not have any reason to be afraid. So those that are really afraid, you know, that can't come to Nigeria, that will only talk on social media and be sounding that Buhari's government has failed and this and that, in as much as we have all the challenges. In as much as we have all our challenges. I tell you the truth, you cannot be convicted on what you really don't know anything about. That you know something and then you are saying, come, okay, because you are talking now, we didn't say anything, come. There is something underneath. So that's basically how it is. So leave those ones. I know very well, yes, I have reasons to say, okay, look at people like Joshua Akpabi, who had high profile EFCC issue, 108 billion tangling his neck. You know, why is he not being prosecuted? He's giving this and giving that. Come on. That time is coming. Everybody will give account of what you have done. It may not be immediately, but we are starting from somewhere. Like, government cannot address everything at the same time. We don't have the capacity to do that.
All right.
We have only one EFCC. We have 36 states, and there's FCT 37. How many courtrooms do we have that will accommodate everyone?
Okay. Thank you so much, Barrister. Well, student leader retired. You're going to give the last line on this discussion, and I'd like you to share your opinions and view on the purported school of thought that this arrest, some call it harassment, is politically motivated. How true is it?
Everything in life, my viewers, is politically
motivated.
Everything. Our sitting here is political. everything. So what is happening to Magu is political, it's everything. But I like it as it's happening, because those who throw stones, or those who live in glass house, they say should not throw stones. So if you are the chief police officer, you know, arresting people for corruption, you must be seen not to be corrupt. No allegation, no, you know. But as earlier said here, and also published in the papers, the weight of allegation is so much that it has become not just a national, it's an international issue. You know, Interpol and others, all security agencies have been working with, they are all
Interested
in the case. So it's not a sin by Nigeria, it's an international case. You know, this is a man that works with FBI, CIA, F-15 of Britain, Israelis security, Iraq, Egypt, Russia, China. This is a man, he's even more popular than our president. Some people who know President Buhari, but they know Magu. Yes, as the chief policeman, you know, attacking corruption. So it's an interesting case, and I pray it works out well. If he's guilty, it will send a big signal to a lot of people, not just the police people, the judiciary, the legislative arm, and all the executive arms of government. Because too many things are happening in the country. People just do things feeling Oibo, now they come. So just do it. But they say it's about there, right? I can't say that's better thing to do.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate the wonderful analysis. You've heard them. This Magu's case, or Magu's travail, yeah, it could just be a new chapter in the anti-graft war. Yeah, it may just be, because like what the last speaker talked about is an international case. You might not have known it because everyone is interested. The FBI, the CIA, the Mossad, the MI6, the MI5, you know, the Russian, everyone is interested in this case, KGB, whatever they are called, because of the name, the acronym of the association that are into fighting crimes. They are all interested in the case to see the conclusion of this matter. Don't forget also what Barrister talked about. He said, look, the torchlight right now is on Magu. It can change direction to any other person. Any other person can be called upon. Please call me. Open doors to other people. Yeah, give account of our money. Okay, let us see what will happen when the dust settles in this case of Nigeria. Be better. Would office holders be more responsible when talking about their duties, especially in the fight against corruption? Don't forget that if you don't kill corruption, corruption will eventually kill us. So who wants to die? Nobody. So fight corruption to the barest minimum. Up next is the place of the social media when you talk about the forthcoming Edo 2020 gubernatorial election. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Do stay tuned.